More 22. Well, hello, folks, and welcome to We the Peeps. Hey, brah. Welcome to We the Peeps. This is the American soccer podcast in which you're going to get to know everything that you need to know about Jesus Ferreira. I'm Clayton, and I'm an artist.
I am an entrepreneur.
And we love the Nets.
We believe in Jesus.
We always did. We never doubted. Insert here. And insert, oh my Lanta. Folks, this is a game recap. The game was USMNT versus TNT. All the Teenage Ninja Turtles.
So many letters.
Play. So many letters. A number of sub-annexed places.
So many numbers.
So many numbers. So many injuries. So many goals, folks. It was a beauty. It was a shiner. It was a strange one for reasons that we will dive all into. But overall, it was a pretty positive one. It was fun to watch the Nats win. It's not the most goals ever scored by the Nats. It's the most two-goal scorers.
Most two-goal scorers. The most first time. Something like that. One of those.
We're going to dive all into it. But first, of course, and as always, please reach out to us on Twitter at WTP Pod. We'd love to hang out with you on there. You can find us on YouTube as well. We're streaming live for the first time today. There's one thing I neglected to mention in a bunch of housekeepings at this point, and it's that we have a new theme song. Thank you very much.
We do. Who made that theme song? It's fantastic.
Oh my God. It's fire. It's fire. No. It's not Fortet. Fire. It's not the new Fortet record. That's not the new Mind Design. It's your boy Clay Sabeo. I made it, and I'm proud of it. And I have a lot of music coming out, so just shameless plug for that. Clay CLAE.SYBEO on Instagram, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Check it out. New theme song. 5 stars, please. Rate us 5 stars. And last but not least, visit us on Patreon. If for 1 million of Jurgen Bucks, that's $5 per month, you can become a ratified peep. You can become an official and permanent part of this show, and indeed, by association, the Nats themselves. So consider it. It makes an enormous difference.
I hate to tell you this, but Jurgen Bucks got targeted by Wall Street bets, and your $5 will now only buy a fraction of a Jurgen Buck. So you missed the boat. If you know, not on the Patreon. You should totally sign up for the Patreon. It's just on that. Like, you had a great opportunity with the Jurgen Bucks, and you know, we all missed it. But crypto regret is real.
We missed our chance with the Jurgen Bucks.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe these Berhalter Bucks will come good.
Berhalter Bucks, baby.
We've been investing in. I think Jesus Ferreira would agree.
Greggy Bucks.
Let's get into
Jesus
this.
Ferreira, he's getting paid in Greggy Bucks.
He's got Greggy Bucks falling out of his pockets. Let's get into this sheet with the end of housekeeping. Okay, folks, let's dive into this. We got to line them up. We have to line them up, and it's going to be a joy. It's not the youngest new player roster ever, but it is the most.
It's the newest player of young roster.
2 gloves.
This makes no sense to anyone. Okay.
Lifetime
2
Achievement
baby.
Award. 2 gloves. Serious shout out to the base god. It's the day of your life, Matt Turner.
The only player to be the GOAT before his first cap. So saith Twitter.
My guy, wow. We started from the bottom, okay? Started from the
baseball diamond.
Started from who knows where, and made it not necessarily to the top. Not the top. But you made it quite far, Matt Turner. As we'll have for our defenders, center back pairing, Miles Robinson and Aaron Long. Let's do it. Let's get ready for the Robinson family band. We're going to have Aaron Herrera. Rob Long. Oh, that's good. We're going to have Aaron Herrera on the right and Semi Vines. Chaboy. Semi Vines on the left back. In midfield, we're going to have Jackson Ewell, number 10. You know him, you love him, Kellen Acosta. He's back. And of course, Sebastian Lletget on the wings out there. We're gonna have Paulie Areola Nips and Jonathan Lewis, Johnny L. We'll get there with his nickname.
Johnny L.
Johnny L. And
What got
of
into
course,
him? He ate his Wheaties, didn't he?
The greatest,
Oh,
the greatest Matthew Hoppe of all time, Jesus Ferreira.
yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Matthew who? Hoppe what?
Who even is that?
We've gone so far since 2020. We thought Josh Sargent would be the striker.
Oh, so laughable. So laughable.
Oh,
Altidore hamstrings. Who?
Two goats later.
We've got Jesus Ferreira. All right, guys. Quick game recap here. This was a total wash. Okay, this Trinidad team, total respect.
They're figuring it out.
Love. They put themselves in we put them in a very difficult decision. We gave them an offer they couldn't refuse.
Right.
And they came out here to play this game, I think as a favor, I think as a point of pride. I don't know. You would have to ask them, but they were not ready. And I don't say that in the spiritual sense. I say that in the just preparedness, logistically
Yeah.
not ready. This was not a fit soccer team. This was not a drilled soccer team. This was a bunch of guys doing us a solid and going out there and giving it their all. And it would not be enough. Within the first 3 minutes, we had our first goal from Jonathan Lewis. So the spoiler alert here is that Jesus Ferreira is going to get, I think, 100 goals and 7 assists.
Yeah, something like
that. But my hot take in my recap here is that he didn't play that well. He wasn't that good.
Really?
So,
you think so?
We'll chop it up. But the way I would recap this first goal is Jesus Ferreira fails to score. Trinidad is not ready, so he's got plenty of time, and he lays it off to Jonathan Lewis, who puts it away. There was another goal from Jesus Ferreira next in the 9th minute, assist by Sam Vines, and then Jesus himself, Bobby Firmino, American Bobby Firmino, would set up Paulie Areola Nips twice before the end of the first half. WTP highlight is Paul Areola and Sebastian Lletget hugging together on the field. The love.
Oh, did you notice that hug too?
The love.
Wow.
It bled through the screen.
No, it was
eyeballs.
not like a soccer goal celebration hug. It was like a friend,
dog.
like a I haven't seen you in a long time hug, which it kind of was.
Dude, it was. This was like cousins. This was.
Are there any two? Okay, here's the challenge. Can you think of any two USMNT players who you would rather go to a Jersey Shore nightclub with than Paul Areola Nips and Sebastian Lletget?
Ooh, you know what? I'm gonna
talk
just
about
throw.
wingman.
I'm gonna throw.
Am I right?
I'm gonna throw in the ring Andres Perea for that one. Just bring him along too. My guy would come in the 46th minute, second half. Andres Perea.
He declared himself ready to hit the club.
He declared it T-shirt time for Andres Perea. Let's do this. We saw a slew of subs as we always do. Tanner Tessman came in. My girlfriend goes, "Who's that?" I said, "His name's Tanner Tessman." She goes, "How old is he?" I said, 19. She was like, "God damn it." Tanner
Life comes at
Tessman,
you fast.
life comes at you fast. A tall drink of cold water out there.
Oh my, handsome boy.
What a guy. What a guy. Can't wait to get him and the other Franco on the field at the same time for some photos. Some lookers. We also got to see some Chris Mueller, some Daryl DK, not too much effect, and of course George Bello. Don't forget about him, and do please forget about Christian Roldan. Just kidding.
It was George Bello's thank you retirement match, I think. He spent so long being a fishy. He's a vet.
Yep, he's got the same he got the same goodbye as Landon Donovan did. It was scheduled for his retirement.
Yeah,
basically,
right.
to see if he could just score one more.
That'd be so funny if he got like a commemorative jersey with a 1.
There were more goals. Perhaps the most awesome one was the Aaron Long to Miles Robinson connection.
That was nice. That was
beautiful.
Some head tennis.
And then a very, very meaningful WTP highlight of Matt Turner in the only moment of the game that mattered to Matt Turner and potentially anyone. It was a penalty kick, I think the 60th minute. And Matty Boy saved it. And the celebration was raw.
Sounds like a Puma.
Yeah, it was a great solid save, and it was such an incredible moment just hearing more about his story in the broadcast and seeing him make that save and what that means, and the fact that he may not, get chances like this so much moving forward. Who knows? Maybe he will, but this could have been the big one for him, and he really did himself proud, and that was a solid, awesome USMNT moment that I won't soon forget. This one ended 7-0. 7-0. Ty, what's your first impressions?
It was a good performance. It was well above par. I think we need to start giving par for these friendlies, so that people have some context for like what to expect. This is a friendly where if it was a 2-0 win, that would have been a big disappointment. I think I would have set the line at like 4 or 5, and the clean sheet. So the fact that they maintained the clean sheet with the Turner penalty save, and they really racked up a lot of offense, they could have had plenty more, was all very positive. But the number one thing that I take away from this game is what Stu Holden said, that what you were looking at is the competition to be the 14th through 23rd player on a World Cup roster. So we have an amount of talent that we've never had, because in prior cycles, players at this level who were doing well in MLS, regular starters having some amount of success in MLS, would have been in contention to be higher up the depth chart for the full national team. And the reality is right now we could progress with none of the domestic-based players and have a perfectly serviceable, even strong national team of just players outside of MLS. So it's a wonderful
big deal.
time. It's a big deal. And I think a lot of these players have true star potential that we're going to see emerge over the next couple of years, either within MLS, in Europe, or a split between the two.
We've had a little love fest over Chris Mueller on this air.
Oh, we have indeed.
Huge fans.
Indeed. I just joined Chris Mueller's book club, which is real. I'm not kidding. I am in his book club, so I will report back. I love personal growth and mindset and like performance related books, to the extent that I get made fun of for this. And my favorite MLSer, Chris Mueller, has a book club to discuss performance books.
Let's go.
October shit.
Let's go. Ty,
I'm so pumped.
Can we hit him with the link on Twitter or something? People.
Oh yeah.
Anybody else want to join this book club?
Yeah.
Show notes. Guys, the book club with Chris Mueller. Do you want some of what Chris Mueller's having?
Yes, I do. I want some of whatever Jonathan Lewis has been consuming over the last
Jonathan Lewis looks great.
4 weeks.
Let's so everyone walks away from this. Everyone walks away from this talking about Jesus Ferreira. What was your? I said my hot take. I think he actually should have scored on many of the.
I think he had
many
2
more
sitters
chances than he
that
did.
he missed. That's fair.
A couple of the assists should have been goals and wouldn't have been assists against better opponents. I think both the assists to Paul Arriola were lovely, but I didn't see anything from him aside, just in spite of what the score sheet says, that made me, super duper hype. Actually, yeah. What was your take on the Jesus Ferreira performance here?
Yeah, I thought he was solid. I think his raw skills are definitely there for him to reach a pretty high level. Obviously, against a more difficult defense, he wouldn't have looked like that. But I think he's very promising. He should totally be in the conversation. I can't remember if he's Olympic eligible or not. I think he might be a little too old. But
if the broadcast is to be believed, he is a part of that Olympic qualifying squad.
That's
and that to me,
then. Yeah.
That to me was the biggest. It's this 14th through 23rd spot or whatever. But these are the guys who are going to be available to qualify for the Olympics.
That's right.
Am I right about that?
The overseas players are unlikely to be available, so they might get a guy like Odasoe, for instance, or Tim Weah maybe, but they're not going to get Gio or Pulisic or anything.
Right, and that's a very big deal. That the guys. The problem with the Olympics for us is always that we don't the players that are good enough at a young age are too good to be around for qualifying, and
Right.
those
Right.
trying to qualify have let us down, or just not quite been good
Right.
enough.
Right. And we've had in the past in Olympic qualifying, one of the big issues has just been the depth, that like we might have 8 players who are good enough, but the 3 that aren't are really holding us back. And those Olympic qualifying rosters can be very lumpy in that regard. But I don't think we're going to have that problem this time. I think we're going to have a really solid qualifying team and hopefully get through. And related to that, I was hoping coming into this game to see some renewed sense of the Berhalter system, and what that would mean.
The system.
The system. What happened to the system? It seems to have ended up in a pretty generic 4-3-3, unless I'm just not absorbing the genius.
Nah, dude, I'm seeing 4-3. I'm seeing tab ball out there, which I love tab ball.
Which is what we had asked for.
I have no problem with tab ball.
That is what we had asked for. Yeah, I didn't see a lot of the interchange between the wingers and the central midfielders that we had originally seen in some of those, like the 2 January camps ago. We definitely saw the playing out of the back. That was very persistent, and I was a big fan, very satisfied for them to get some more practice with that. And the play, or the aspect of it that I really love, there's a very modern, sort of statistics-driven approach, is the idea of working the ball into dangerous zones near the box and then cutting it back, which is one of the highest percentage plays in soccer statistically. And they did repeatedly, over and over and over again. You saw Vines get to the touchline. You saw Areola get to the touchline. You saw Lewis get to the touchline, cut balls back. And then the assists that you mentioned for Ferreira, I think, were basically the same from opposite sides, where he just takes a little touch or a header across laterally near the box that sets up an opponent to shoot. So that's I was happy to see that. I thought that's a sign that there is some kind of concept, and this is I think still an underappreciated method in the modern game, and something that our player pool in particular can do really well with.
Yeah, it's amazing that it is as maybe underutilized. It seems pretty clear that Pep Guardiola
it's like when you find that thing in FIFA that you can just keep doing every game,
Which may have been
there's
this
adjustments,
play.
right?
Yeah,
like there will be adjustments made for that. The smart teams are going to see that and will account for it.
Yeah.
But
Jose Mourinho has 20 ways to stop that.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that he's thought of.
But it's one of those things where it's like, even if it's coming, it's not like becomes easy to stop. It's it's and then of course, if the opponent overloads or tries to deal with that by becoming imbalanced, then that creates opportunities for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's one thing I know about Gregg Berhalter, it's that he understands this, he sees it, he can articulate it. When you watch him talk about film, he talks about it in a level of detail that would make any analyst proud, as opposed to certain coaches who we've had in the past who basically said, get out there and have fun, kid, and really did not understand the nuances of the tactical side.
And
so I'm glad
I'm glad that we have that too. And I do think that Berhalter has, in a positive way, become the steward that we wanted him to be. There was a time when it was like, I'd be fine having Dave Saracon. I'm fine with that. Right. I just don't want someone to come in here and try to do some crazy shit, and totally lose us. And Gregg Berhalter was a little too much crazy shit for a while, and he had definitely, I think, gotten a hold of the situation.
Did he get notes? Do you think he got
notes? I think he just got experience, and I think he got COVIDed in the face and just realized that nothing is guaranteed. You have to, you have to go with what you got, and your time is limited. This was a much longer camp than he's usually going to get. And I'm curious, Ty, if there was anyone that stood out to you, because this camp was sort of 2 camps, 2 rosters, and then it got whittled down to what we ended up seeing on Sunday night. Was there anyone that was a surprising absence here for you?
Well, in the camp in general, there was one absence that I thought was a little odd, which was Caden Clark, the Red Bulls wunderkind, who was so impressive towards the end of last season and appears already bound for Leipzig within a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought we were going to get to see a little bit more of him. In the game, the lineup weirded me out, as I've gotten used to from the Berhalter lineups. The fact that you're playing in Orlando and you don't have DK and Mueller in particular starting, I thought was a little bit odd. But of course, Berhalter's seeing the training, and I'm sure he's trying to incentivize certain things. Really didn't think we needed to see more Roldan sub minutes. I could have, we're fine. We have enough tape. And we only got Tanner Tessman for 15 minutes. So I would say those were kind of the things that stood out to me as maybe missed opportunities to get more data on potentially really important players. DK in particular, I mean, he just leaps off the screen. He's got every physical tool in the book and also showed a lot of clever interchange and intelligence in the box of the little dummy that he played and some of his movement. His touch failed him a couple times when he had the opportunity to make something happen, but clearly a very special player. And Mueller, we've discussed quite a bit as one of the shining U.S. prospects right now. So I was hoping to see them a little bit more. But I think what you're saying is correct. I think Berhalter might have gone into his tenure thinking that he would have what Bradley had, which was 4 years to prepare a team, or whatever it is, 3 years to prepare a team for qualifying and to have a system and a game plan and identity and all that stuff. And he's basically never had the same group in 2 camps in a row.
There was a whole thing. There was a whole thing. Tyler Adams kept getting asked, like, Gregg Berhalter's used you in a lot of different positions and doesn't seem to know what your position is. Like, what do you consider your position? And he was like, I consider my position the 6, which is what I play for my club. Also, I've only played for Gregg Berhalter once.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he played 1 camp basically.
Yeah.
So he's had all these like sporadic issues with injury and with different like regular circumstances pre-COVID, and then all of a sudden COVID. And so I feel like he's probably played, I don't know what the number is, but I'm guessing there have been about 60 players who've seen the field under Gregg Berhalter, and maybe another 30 or 40 that have been in camp. And so there's no identity. There's no group. There's no one group. So it doesn't make sense to have like a specific tactical thing that you're trying to accomplish, because you're never going to have time before competitive matches. So that's what I want. Like that. And sorry to digress a little bit, but
no, let's go there.
I love the All or Nothings documentaries. That are on Amazon Prime. They follow some of the top teams in the world. They're so illuminating. And one of the things I've learned, particularly from the Man City one, is that Pep, obviously he's playing 3D chess out there. He's got a whole thing going on in his mind that mere mortals can't understand. But what he does is he translates it down with these little bits of instruction for the players, because the players can't do that while they're playing, no matter how intelligent they are. So he brings in intelligent players and he gives them like very clear and doable tactical instructions. When you're in this position, do this. When you're in that position, do that. Look for this. He's not overloading them with information. He's giving them a handful of high leverage instructions to follow. And it's not that the striker also needs to know what the fullback is going to do at any particular moment. It's that there's each player has a coordinated set of instructions, right, that Pep has designed to create a cohesive system that's going to work.
Right.
So I think
no one needs to know the whole plan but Pep.
Keeping it simple. Exactly.
You got to keep it simple, and this is about creating like a hive mind, which you see happening. There's this whole cloud of 100 players right now who could play for the Nats at some point this year.
Right.
And you can feel it. Maybe it's just my head, but I feel like I can feel Sam Vines' experience and how it's being affected by Brendan Aronson transferring, and that there's this there's something happening that everyone can feel. And that feeling is far more important than the system. Dum, 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 dum.
Right,
That
right.
feeling
Agreed.
that,
Agreed.
is,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to get all Jurgen-y, but that feeling is what's going to get us through this moment, alongside a few sound and specific tactical pointers.
Right, right.
Here
And also the things you do are just as important, the things you don't do are just as important as the things you do.
Mm-hmm.
So we must, as a soccer nation, get past the instinct of lumping the ball up to a large center forward as our standard play when we can't think of anything else to do.
That's my concern with the Daryl DK situation. Actually,
Sure,
that's my biggest fear.
True enough.
Is that he's
true
like
enough.
just
It could
not,
be a
he's not
trap.
as good as Altidore, but he just, seems kind of like Altidore.
And playing the mythical position of hold up. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see, but he's.
I have
it
a
would be
question for
tempting.
you.
Yes.
I have a question for you, and this is a little bit, we're taking a left turn here, but it's something I've been meaning to ask you on the show. There's this conversation, right? So we take someone like you take someone like Anthony Robinson, who is clearly the left back at the highest level in the pool.
Correct.
In the club game.
Yeah.
Has had a few bad appearances for the Nats.
Mixed.
I guess
had
it
some good
depends on.
appearances.
Let's say you did. Let's say you did think that. Let's say you thought that his appearances for the Nats were bad, because a lot of people do think that.
Sure.
Does that really matter? So there's this idea that, like, you got to play well for the Nats.
Right.
But when I actually look at to me, I would think that all that matters is who's playing good in February, and bring them. And we don't have Nats enough to know, who's good or who's bad based on Nats play only. That when the World Cup comes around, Germany is choosing the best German players for the moment, and maybe it's not so important what they've done specifically for the Nats. Is that a myth? Is there a myth there that, like, you have to do it in the jersey to be good enough to play for the Nats?
Sure. That's very fair. I think that's one of those eternal questions of international soccer strategy. And my stance is that you should take a hybrid approach. So you have your players as much as you can in national team camps, and you get to see how they perform in that setting. But you also need to take into account what's going on at their club. And if you have someone who's been just okay, but they're lighting it up for their club in the half season leading up to a World Cup, maybe that's worth a look. And I also think that the period of time that they get with the national team is often too limited to draw really major conclusions. So for a club season, they're going to play 30, 40, 50 games, some of these top players. So you just get so much more data that you can rely on. Whereas if Anthony Robinson has played, 5-6 games maybe so far for the Nats, spread out over 2 years, I don't feel safe drawing conclusions about how well he would perform in the future based on just that. I'd rather lean on his club form. And it's also a hybrid thing when it comes to picking the roster, because when it comes, down to that moment right before a qualifying match day or whatever, when you have to lock in those players, I think you want to have 18 of your names pretty solid, and you're going to expect to go with them. But then you have these kind of wild card spots where you can say, okay, who's hot, who gives me something against this particular opponent, who do I think has mentality that would be helpful in this particular situation. Or maybe you even have like a player who plays particularly well with another player who you're bringing in.
Who's got the best book club,
margaritas, whatever the case may be, whatever you think you're going to need on that road trip. I think it's reasonable to flex essentially with those kind of last slots.
Yeah, I just think it's wild, man. People really put a lot of stock in that. And if you were to, then Tyler Adams wouldn't be the locked-in starter for the next 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
We wouldn't, if it weren't for the club game, we wouldn't be talking about him that way.
Right,
just based on what he's done in the jersey,
Right.
Weston McKennie's had a couple stinkers out there. Pulisic himself,
Absolutely.
what I mean? I don't know, man. I think that's weird. People really obsess over that. All right, let's do a little bit of stock rising stock falling.
Stonk
This
rising, stonk falling.
Stonk. Stock rising, stock falling. This is something I started with Kwame himself during the Women's World Cup, and I'd like to bring it in today because it's just the perfect
Beautiful.
way to close out our discussion on this here game. Because really all that matters is where these people's stock is, these players' stock is within the pool of everyone who played here. Where pool, where is your where do you stand? Who's your, let's start with one of your stock rising from who we saw on Sunday.
Well, I got to give this to Jonathan Lewis because I've put Jonathan Lewis into my my discarded throwaway bin.
Forgotten Nats.
Jonathan Lewis, my forgotten Nats bin up in the shelf, and he's up there next to Baby Julian, but he's a little more close to redeemable, and so I feel like Jonathan Lewis really impressed me. It was obviously some output that was very impressive, but just his touch, his quickness, his quickness physically and also mentally to figure out and triangulate some passes that I thought were really impressive. Did he go 90? I forgot. He's definitely has struggled to be a starter. He went 90. He went 90. Okay, yeah. He's been better coming off the bench at most points in his club career, which has been in some ways like a symptom of lack of consistency, that he could like focus in on 15 minutes and give a great 15 minutes, but he couldn't put together a great, full game. So I think the game showed a lot of his maturation as a player. The move to Colorado, I think, probably really helped to get him out of maybe a tougher or more spotlight kind of environment and let him become the leader at the team. So I think, yeah, I see renewed hope in seeing the Jonathan Lewis that we all thought we would a couple of years ago when he was bursting onto the scene with NYCFC. And very, very impressive. And we can always use more wingers to back up,
I'll take it. I was very, very excited about him at first, and I did forget about him. I'm not gonna lie, but it was great to see him, and I agree with you. I thought he played really well. I am gonna go. I guess there's a definition question here. Are we doing stock rising, stock falling in the public's eye, Gregg's eye, or in my eye?
It's up to you, my friend.
I want to do my eye. Sam Vines, stock rising.
Oh, Sam Vines.
I've
Solid.
not been impressed. I have not had anything to say about Sam Vines. Almost nothing positive or negative. He's just nothingness out there for me. But Sunday versus Trinidad, I saw Sam Vines I can get hype about. I saw Sam Vines that I could see at a mid to low table Bundesliga side. I saw Sam Vines.
Oh yeah,
that could absolutely be. Who
catch the red-eyed in Dusseldorf, baby.
What's the dude who was at Schalke on loan from Everton and is never going to play for the England national team? He's a wingback.
Oh yeah. Joe Kenny. Yeah.
Not what's his
something
name?
Like that. Yeah.
So, something Kenny.
John Joe Kenny.
John Joe Kenny. I saw a John Joe Kenny performance out there. One that has got something to it. Not the top tier level, but something to it. And I'm excited about that because Sam Vines was not someone who I expected to see a lot of. If you recall, I believe Sam Vines and Brendan Aronson both got their first cap on the same day, and were both very underwhelming. That was when Jackson Ewell was the hottest young shit in the MLS.
Oh yeah, you remember when Jackson Ewell was like, oh wow, yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna be.
Is it Michael Bradley or Jackson Ewell?
I never
remember that.
I remember that. I remember that, and I never was happy about that.
How stupid was
that? Stock always down, still down.
Stock
don't care.
Down.
Don't care.
No, it's like he did. I have to give him stock down. I guess I don't know. I think he just doesn't bring enough special to justify like having essentially like a utility player.
I have nothing to say about that man. Get out of my face with that man. You know who I do want to talk about, though, whose stock heavily rising, stock existing for the first time? Andres Perea, get in.
Andres Perea was solid.
He was amazing.
Silky.
Maybe amazing is too much, but eye test, bro, this kid's going places. And from what I had read, right, I have not seen a lot of Andres Perea play, but from what I had read, from what I understood, he was a short passing bruiser type, warrior type of player. That is not what I saw. I saw a quarterback who could slip a tackle.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw like a
sweet
physicaler Yunus Musa.
Physicaler. Yeah. A less physical Owen Onasohi. Which is a high bar.
Now,
but I'm really excited about Andres Perea. Welcome in.
I love it. I'm just, it's been so long since we had a U.S. national team 23 that we felt was really the best 23 or close, where it was like there were so few questions, you know, and we've seen just so many different teams and so many different circumstances and all the caveats, all the friendlies. It's like, I feel like we never really got out of the Saracen era. And COVID doesn't help with that. But I'm so pumped to see a real 23 and a real 11. When's that going to be? Qualifying, I guess.
I don't even know, dude. I don't even know.
It's so hard to say.
The actual Olympics is really close to it, I think.
The actual Olympics will be close. Yeah, that's true. There's probably only 3 O23s in the pool that you would want to start.
Who are yours? By the side note, who are your overage players right now?
Okay, yeah, I haven't thought through this in a while.
Me neither. I think Yedlin. Is that a fair shout?
Yedlin's a shout, but we've got Dest and Robinson.
So Aaron Long.
Maybe Aaron Long. You could do
John Brooks.
Yeah, right. For John Brooks is a definite. Brooks and Steffen. I think those are clear.
Brooks, Steffen.
You gotta go.
2 right there.
There's 2. Then the midfield, you're fine. And up top, I mean, just chuck Hoppy in there. You're good to go. Hoppy, Ferreira, and Sargent seems like a fine trio. Josie Altidore, stock falling.
Falling, bro.
Josie looked like it was going to make like a little GameStop, maneuver, and then he can't.
Stock falling so hard.
The hammies.
Josie, the hamstrings. Please don't bring Josie to the Olympics. I would be cool with Aaron Long, John Brooks, and Zach Steffen. And then we'll do stock falling.
Super solid.
Yeah.
Core.
And then just have the kids run around and try to score.
Let's go.
You go. All right. Stock falling on. I'll go first. Stock falling on. Oh, sad to say. I hate to say it. I don't want to say it. I'm going to say it. Kellen Acosta. Not a good game from Kellen Acosta. Looking like the one lagging behind in this starting 11.
Yeah, it's sad. He's a favorite of ours.
Love him.
Someone we've always enjoyed playing, enjoyed watching play, and his style was, I thought, something that the Nats needed. Little higher touch than your average player of his type. So. Yeah, that's disappointing. I would have liked to have seen a breakout leadership role kind of Kellen Acosta, and we didn't really see that. Yeah. I mean, to that point about the Olympics, like it's almost like what we're calling for is like 1 30-year-old. And Kellen Acosta's not that old, but one O23 who is going to be great and bring the young group along. Because I think it is true, despite my agitation frequently to play all the kids, that you want to have a handful of guys who've been in big spots before.
Tim Ream? Does Tim Ream get a shout in there?
It's bad every time, bro.
He's just not that good.
No, he's played in the promotion final and had good games in the promotion final. That's a big deal.
Is there a midfield? Is there an attacking player over the age of 23 that's worth a grain of salt?
I mean, Ariola's fine. Jordan Morris is fine.
Sebastian Lletget.
Sebastian Lletget. I love the Sebastian Lletget thing, but I don't know if I want him to start.
I can get down with a Sebastian Lletget at the Olympics to babysit, chaperone.
I like the Olympics.
I'm good with that.
I'll leave Aaron Long at home if I can bring Sebastian, and he can play a bunch of positions, which is great.
Yeah, and he's got great hair. So
and then Chris Richards gets to start.
There's also that. Yeah, and then we get to watch Chris Richards do his thing.
Best hair.
Well,
best hair on the Nats.
Ooh, best hair on the Nats. Specifically,
Weston, maybe it's like Weston.
You mean in the pool? It's DeAndre Yedlin, without a doubt. Sorry, it's not even. There's no question. I thought you were talking about this game. That was disrespectful, bro.
Sorry, D.
Oh man, DeAndre Yedlin off to where's he off to?
Turkey.
Turkey.
Portugal.
Oh,
yeah.
Yikes. Any last thoughts here on TNT versus USMNT?
It's great to see the boys out there. Should be a wonderful year, a busy year. As much as I enjoy seeing Dabo Sweeney in the stands, I would prefer for there to be no fans at these games because we're just
I would also prefer for there to be less discussion about Dabo Sweeney.
Really?
It's just too much.
I was going to give him a Peep nomination. No?
All right, we'll take it. All right. No, I mean, look, you have the power to Peep nominate, okay? I'm not going to stop you, but I'm voting.
No. Right. I now have a super majority, and it's game over for you. I like that. I want him to, help spread the word a little bit, legitimize. I think, a important national sports figure wearing a signed FC Dallas shirt and taking camera phone footage as a proud relative.
It's like Future cool. At the Atlanta FC games.
Exactly. It's just like Future. He and Dabo. Have they hung out? I bet they've hung
out. So yeah, I had a good time with this one. My closing thought is I hate to be a downer, but it really wasn't cool what we just did to the Trinidad and Tobago team. It was there are many injuries. This really didn't go well for them. And I'm genuinely torn about it. Reach out to us on Twitter. Talk to me.
What?
Because it was obviously we want to destroy Trinidad and Tobago any chance we get for the rest of all of time. For sure.
Oh, you're saying there's like a revenge factor that's not
there's a revenge factor that's awesome. And there's a Alvin Jones, screw you factor that's I think great and sporting. There is playing this Trinidad and Tobago team in the way that we did and just injuring all of their players and embarrassing them like a historic loss for them is not as it's hard to celebrate it as hard for me.
I wasn't in a celebrating mode.
Yeah.
But I think it was good for the Trinidad team to play this game. I think they will benefit long term from having played this versus not, especially if their players hadn't played a competitive match in 9 months. So absolutely. I think it was perfectly useful and positive experience for them to do it. So I don't get it. I don't get what you're saying. But I also didn't get my ass kicked on national television.
Yeah.
So
I'm saying that I want to beat them again, 7-0, but I want a rematch.
Every time.
I want a rematch, and I want it with full training, and I want to give Trinidad and Tobago every chance to show us their best selves, so that we can demolish them in this.
That will happen. That will happen. They're gonna give us a run for our money next time. I think that I hope for one that they make it through that qualifying round, so that the Nats have to start their campaign in Cuba. That
Let's
to
go.
me is the perfect way to just excise this demon and
just walk through the fucking puddles, guys. Just walk through the puddles. You do not need to be carried over puddles. All right. We're going to close it out. I love myself some self-help books. Join that Chris Mueller book club. Why don't you? Tell us how it goes. I also love myself some spiritual books, any kind, not particular about which spiritual texts. The book of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Let's go for it. The Torah,
yeah.
Bible, the three big ones, you know, the Quran,
the
Torah,
greats.
the greats, classics, bro, classics, all of them. And I also really like cookbooks. Okay, these are all books that I like, but I don't love any of that shit as much as I love the Nats. Let's go.
Good job, boys. Golf clap.
Not bad.
Golf clap.
Not bad. Not bad.
Not bad. Goodbye, YouTube.
Goodbye.